to move ahead to data science, you have to know the basics of some programming language. Data science is not only limited to Python, but Python has better libraries when compared with the Java or .NET. Okay, so it has many libraries, inbuilt libraries, it's much better actually. I mean, it is very much natural to use with data science. First of all, Python is an expressive language. Expressive language means actually instead of writing so many statements, just in one statement you can finish you can complete the required task. You don't write too much code, but within few lines of code only you can do it. So that's why we say Python is expressive. There are many languages actually. All of them support artificial intelligence these days. All of them support say machine learning, deep learning kind of thing. All these things they support. They are part of actual nothing but data science only. Okay, but before you go with the data science, I mean, as you said, actually, you are going to deal mostly with the data, and along with the data, you must be proficient with you should have good mathematics background and statistical background. These two are important as far as data science is concerned. Okay, so coding is quite common actually. I mean, as far as coding is concerned, as far as using a language is concerned, it's very simple in my opinion. Okay, so I mean, if you are shown a better, I mean, in a proper way, if it is put in front of you how to code with Python, then in that case, I think within very short time you can learn and you can go with the data science kind of thing, in my opinion. But to succeed with the data science, main thing is you have to be very good with mathematical analysis, and mathematics background is required for that. Apart from that, statistical background, these two are important. And mostly we go with the predictive analysis. So regarding plant, you are saying plant operations are related to plant. Mostly you depend on the predictive analysis kind of thing you use. Okay, in many areas they use data science, not only in the chemical industry. So it is everywhere actually. Everywhere they are adopting, data science, and they are going with the artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning. All these actually they are adopting because with that they can improve their business. I mean, they can perform much better if they adopt these things. Of course, this happened all some say 5-6 years before. Now it is actually gaining momentum. But if you want to work with data science kind of thing, you need to have a very good configuration of system. So first of all, you require a GPU in that. Graphics processor unit is required. Without that, training a model, analyzing that is very difficult. Okay, first of all, you have to train a model, then based on that, you are going to predict results. So further, definitely, you require a GPU, something like 6 GB or 12 GB GPU, along with a normal computer if you have, you can actually do all these things much better. Okay, so we definitely look into data science, but before that, in the Python, what exactly Python language is, okay, how it is different from C or C++ or Java, I'll tell you that also. Then similarly, how you can write statements, how code can be executed, how sequential code we write, how selectional code we write, then how we can perform iterations, and how we save data into files, how we can create XML files, how we get connected to databases, okay, and how we can make small websites using Flask and using Django. I can cover all those things depending on your interest. Okay, you have to show more interest. Then in that case, I also will have interest to cover more and more topics for you and to discuss more and more with you. Depending on your interest, all these things happen actually. Okay, and other thing is, now let me start actually Python. Python is nothing but a general purpose programming language. You can do anything with the Python. It's not limited to only data science. It's not limited to only web development. It's not limited to only desktop applications. Whatever you want to do, you can do using Python. Something like C language. So with C, whatever you want to do, you can do. But in the case of C language, you have to write a lot of code. In the case of Python language, within few lines only, you can achieve what you can do with the C language. And C language we use for system software. It's not for actually general purpose applications. Suppose you want to develop a website. In that case, C is not a suitable language. Or else you are developing some Windows application. In that you may have some user interface. You may be having some buttons, some text boxes. So in such cases, C is not the suitable kind of thing. For developing system software and for utilities, you can use C language when compared with the Python. But using Python, you can develop any kind of languages, because these days we need to develop applications within very short time. So we don't have enough time to develop all these things. So within very short time, you have to develop application. So in such cases, actually, Python is the suitable option, I say. So using Python, virtually you can develop any kind of application, but definitely as far as performance is concerned, C program performs much better than Python language. C is what exactly? It is a compiler, whereas Python is what exactly? It's an interpreter. So interpreter is nothing but it executes line by line. It's not going to compile. So for this, I would like to give an example for compiler and for interpreter. See, on 14th August every year, President addresses the nation. Okay, so I mean you can watch in the TV what President is addressing actually. Suppose if you don't know English or Hindi, in such cases, if you want to hear in your regional language, so first what they do, the spoken part in Hindi and in English, that is translated entirely into local languages. It may be Telugu, Tamil, whatever it is. So they translate it to that particular thing. So once that is translated, you don't require original audio. That means what is spoken by President in the Hindi or in English, that is not required. This process can be called as compilation. So once you convert, it is available in the other languages. Straight away, you can hear that. In the case of interpretation, suppose American president and Russian president, they are discussing something. When they are discussing something, what is happening? American president speaks only in English, whereas Russian president speaks only the Russian language. So in between these two people, somebody is required. So that person you can call as translator. So that means what? Whenever you write any Python code, whenever you are executing, behind it what is required? You require Python interpreter. Without that you cannot do. Something with JavaScript also. Suppose you created a page. So in that you are doing some validation on the page. So behind for validation what we use normally? JavaScript we use. So in the browser JavaScript is inbuilt. So without JavaScript it cannot be running. So that means what? In the interpretation, line by line the code gets executed. Whenever the code is executing, behind that you require the language there. So Python is actually interpreter. What happens with this is line by line it gets executed. With this the problem is, suppose at line number you have written some 10 lines of code. At line number 5 there is some problem. It is going to stop there. It doesn't advance. In the case of compilation, what happens? Whenever you compile any code, it's going to show all the errors. If there are any errors, it's going to show at the end. At the end, it's going to show all the errors. As long as errors are not cleared, it's not going to create an object file or an exe file. So in the case of Python, we don't have any exe file or we don't have any object file. So straight away, you're going to execute the code. Something like the JavaScript. But in the C or in the C++, you compile them. Once you compile, you get object files as well as you get exe files. So exe files, you can straight away execute from the system without requiring the C compiler or C++ compiler. So in the case of Python, first of all, Python is interpreter. Interpreters are very slow when compared with the compilers. They have advantages, they have disadvantages. But Python is what actually? It is an interpreter. So behind our code, always Python interpreter is required. Without that, the code cannot be executed. Okay, but Python is what? It is a general purpose programming language. It has many libraries. It's called as fully loaded. We call it as basically fully loaded. That means what? Whatever tools we require for coding, there are so many libraries actually in the Python, so that we can use. Within no time, we can develop applications. If you know what module you have to use, definitely without practice, you cannot be knowing all those things. So once you practice, definitely you will understand what libraries you have to use. Okay. So once you know them very quickly, you can be developing required applications with Python. And one more thing, Python is actually a case-sensitive language, just like the C, just like C++, just like Java, just like JavaScript. So this is what exactly a case-sensitive language. It does differentiate between uppercase and lowercase. Okay, you take language like BASIC. In the case of BASIC language, it doesn't differentiate between uppercase and lowercase. And whenever you take any language, computer language, you can compare it with a human language. That means whatever language we use, like Hindi, English, say French, Russian, we use languages. You can compare with those languages. So suppose you take English. In the case of English, we express everything in the form of a sentence. To build a sentence, what is required? We require a character set. Then we require certain parts of speech like noun, pronoun, adverb. Those things are required. With the help of that only, we can make a sentence. Same thing in the computer programming languages. So there you require tokens. in the programming language, we use the word tokens. So using tokens, you can construct a sentence. We don't say sentence there, we say statements. You can write statements using actually the tokens. So tokens are going to be basically identifiers, operators, separators, keywords, constants. So these we call as here tokens. So using tokens only, we can write the statement. And whenever Python interpreter is interpreting that, if the tokens are arranged properly, then only it can interpret, otherwise it is error. So that means grammatically it should be correct. Grammatically if it's correct, then only it can accept. So behind the interpreter actually you have some token analyzer. So then after that it's going to convert it to some bytecode file. So the bytecode file will be executed by the Python runtime environment. This is all behind the scene actually. As a programmer, we need not know about those things. They can be called as here some system software kind of thing. Automatically environment is going to take care of that. Okay, so Python has very high level libraries for us. With the help of that, whatever type of code you want to write, you can write. Okay, so these are the 5 different types of tokens we use in the Python language. As I told just now, identifiers. Identifiers are nothing but user invented things. That can be a class name, that can be a method name, that can be a variable name. Okay, so these can be called as actually identifiers. Something like in our English also we use. You can take person's names. Okay, for example, take river. In the case of river, we call it as a common noun kind of thing. But when you say Ganga river, so that is nothing but here a proper noun, whereas river is nothing but common. So common things you cannot change, whereas proper nouns you can be changing there. So like for example, say as I told, you may be writing a variable. So variable x equal to some 100 you write. So x is nothing but identifier, 100 is going to be constant, and equal is going to be an operator. With the help of that you are assigning a value to variable. And one more thing, in the case of Python is actually a dynamically typed language. Okay, when you are learning in the C language, first of all, what you need to do, you need to declare a variable, then only you can assign a value. Type of data is very important in the case of C language. C is what very strongly as well as strictly typed language, but Python is not like that. In the case of Python, first of all, typing is not a must. Without assigning a type to variable, you can declare a variable, but whenever you assign a value to the variable, at the time, type will be inferred. Okay, type will be inferred whenever you assign a value. Suppose you declare a variable x equal to, you put 100. Later on, you can write x equal to some string also. So like this, you can change the type of the variable dynamically. That happens in the case of Python language. But when you work with the C, with the C++, these are not possible actually, because they are very strongly typed languages, very strictly typed languages. But Python is not like that. Of course, there is a debate on this. What are the disadvantages when you have this kind of features, dynamically typed languages? So when you have these features,
Python certification training by My Extra Classes.
We have online one-to-one sessions available for working professionals, as well as for freshers or students. Get trained with the industry experts having 25 plus years of programming and training experience. Our courses are designed in such a way that it will take you forward from beginner to expert level proficiency in very short span of time.
So what are you waiting for? Maximize your chances to land into your dream job by scheduling a free demo session by My Extra Classes. Contact us on our phone at 0124-406-1031 or direct your email as your requirement at myextraclasses@outlook.com.
Disadvantages, what are the advantages? Okay, we'll discuss about those things later on. In the case of C or C++, what are the advantages? If it is statically typed, strongly typed, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages? We'll discuss as we proceed. But Python is what actually? Python is a dynamically typed language. Okay, and it is very, very expressive. That means in C language, if you write 4 statements, instead of writing 4 statements in C language, just in one statement, you can finish it. For example, I have 2 variables. I don't put any type like some x equal to I have 10. Then similarly, I have y equal to 20. Like this in the C language, I have 2 variables. X is 10, y is 20. Suppose I have to swap them. Swapping is nothing but interchanging values. I want to put the value of y into x and x into y. So without using some third-party variable, another variable, I have to do this. So for this purpose in the C language, I'll be writing something like this: x equal to, I put x plus y. Okay, I can write like this. Then after that, what I should do? Y equal to, then I write here x minus y, I can put like this. Then after that, x equal to x minus y, like this I can write. Then in such case, what happens? It's going to be changing. They are going to swap. That means the value of x comes into y and the value of y comes into x. Like this, we can write. Here, how many statements we have written total? 3 different statements we have written. But when it comes to Python, something like this you can write. X comma y equal to y comma x, something like this you can write. So within one statement only, you can achieve this particular thing. It's a sample I am showing. So like this, many statements in the C are equal to just one statement in the Python language. So that is the power of the Python language. Okay, so using tokens only, we write the statements. And whenever you take any programming language, need not be only with Python. The code you may write sequentially, or it may be selectional, or it may be repetition. In the sequential, what you do, whatever code you write from top to bottom, the code gets executed. So that is sequential code. But whenever you want to go with the selectional based on certain condition, so the control may be getting branched off. For example, something like this I have, some age I have here. Age equal to, I am putting some 12 here. Okay, what I do here, I may write some condition in this manner. I can write something like this. If greater than or equal to 18, then in such cases, what I do, I go with a print, then I say like eligible. For what actually? For voting. Okay, eligible for voting. Something like this, I can put here. Okay, similarly, I go with the else. So here, what I do, I can write print followed by not eligible. So this way, this can be called as branching. Okay, what is happening? Control is getting branched off. In the above example, on the top, what is happening? Sequentially, the code was getting executed. But in this case, what is happening? If you go here, the code was sequential. One after another, they were getting executed. But when you come to this piece of code, what is happening? Depending on the variable value. So if age is greater than or equal to 18, it's going with this. Otherwise, it comes to not eligible. So like this, what happens? The code may be sequential, or it may be selectional, or it may be combination of both sequential as well as selectional. Apart from this, sometimes what happens? You may have to repeat same statements again and again. Then in such cases, you may go with the looping. For example, take here while age I write here less than or equal to some 100. So what I do in this case, I can write this way, print, then age. Then after that, I may increase age equal to age plus 1. So like this, I can write. So what happens in this case? As long as age is less than or equal to, the code gets executed, but once the age becomes actually 101, what happens? The code will be getting stopped then. Execution of code will be getting stopped. So this way, you can write the iterations also. But whatever you may write, it is just basically statements, and in these 3 ways only, the control can be flowing. Okay, and every time what happens with these languages, the state of the machine changes. State means what? Every statement. So that's why we call Python as actually imperative language. It's called as imperative language. It's not actually any functional language. It's called as imperative language. Function is different. Functional programming is different. Function means any piece of code you write like one block, and that block repeatedly you can use. Wherever you want to use, you can use. That's called as basically a function or a method. In the Python, we say function. Sometimes we say method. Method actually we use in the object-oriented programming, whereas in languages like C, we call it as function. So functions and procedures in the Pascal. In the Pascal, you have a procedure. Okay, procedure does not return a value in the Pascal, as you were saying. Mahendra was saying about Pascal. So in the Pascal, you take a procedure that will not return any value. Whereas a function returns a value. But in the C language, we don't have any procedures. We have only functions. So in the same way, what happens whenever you write a function, the function can be getting called repeatedly. So you can call functions repeatedly. Okay, so this way what is happening? We are going to actually write code, and the Python language is what actually it is a case-sensitive language. The variable, if you declare age with lowercase, it should be lowercase only we have to use. Suppose if I use here something like uppercase A, what happens in this case? It will give error. So reason, these two are different. This age is different and this age is different. Okay, so these are also going to be mattering a lot. This is something similar to C language, C or C++ or Java. They are also the same thing. Okay, but in order to develop applications with Python, you require first of all a Python interpreter in your system. So that you can download from the python.org. And for Windows, if you are using Windows operating system, you can go for the Windows MSI. So MSI file you have, with the help of that, you can install that Microsoft installer. MSI is nothing but Microsoft installer. So with the help of that, you can install Python. So once you install Python, you can be getting something like a command prompt. Something like IDE you get. So this is called as IDE, Integrated Development Environment. So we get the so this is ideally, it's nothing but interpreter. So once it comes here, you can write code line by line, you can execute. Suppose I write here, print welcome to Python. Say welcome. So this will be getting printed, it prints welcome. Similarly, I write here 10 plus 12. So it gives actually 22. So like this, one by one command you can execute, or else you can create a file. In the file also, the code can be written. What I do in this, I can input some number. I put something like this num equal to int, forcefully convert, then input. I write here enter and enter a number. Okay, then after that I can print it. So this way I can take input, then I write here print something like num. Okay, this in order to execute this one, I have to save first of all this file. Somewhere else you can say somewhere you can save this particular thing. So in the G drive I choose, and here I want to go with one folder called Hemant. In the Hemant folder, I want to save this one. Okay, something like first one .py, extension for Python is actually py. Then I save this. Now I can execute this. When I execute, it's going to say enter a number. I enter 45. Then it's going to print. So like this, in a file, you can put all the code, whatever you write. So in a batch code, you can be executing at a time. So a Python file, you can execute. And when you look at a Python application, it can contain number of Python files. Okay, a number of Python files you can have. So those files you may be having functions, you can be importing functions, and you can be working on that. So in order to work with Python, first of all, you require IDLE. Python IDLE is required, or else you can use Visual Studio Code. There are so many tools as IDEs, but I use actually Visual Studio Code. One is Visual Studio Code, other one is actually Python IDLE. So this is much better than compared with the IDLE. So using Visual Studio Code also, you can start coding in the Python. Okay. So once you write code, you can save and you can go to command prompt. From command prompt also, it can be getting executed. So command prompt is something like this. In the Hemant folder, just now I created a file. I go to this and I write here cd followed by Hemant. Then here I can execute it. I just type here Python followed by first one .py. So from command prompt also I can do it. Now it is saying enter a number. I can enter a number here, something like 56. I enter, it's printing. So this way Python can be executed. Python code can be executed. So first of all, you need to install Python. Then after that, you can download Visual Studio Code. So using Visual Studio Code, it's better to do. But further, if you want to do with the data science kind of thing, you require Anaconda. Anaconda software is required for you. Also, you require Jupyter. So these two are also very important when you do with the data science. But for simple applications, this Python IDLE or Visual Studio Code, these two are enough. So, Mahendra, you want to discuss anything else in this?
Thanks, Sridhar. I was able to at least maybe some of the things. I'm able to understand as of now because there is a lot of distance between from where we are now and what we are seeing. But again, these seem more of logical in nature. So for sure, we need to be we need to refresh some of the things which we read many years back. So anyway, so how you recommend us to go to or to come on board with you? The thing is that even if you write some very basic things in which you may be very comfortable, but maybe be uncomfortable. So how you suggest should we read something before we come on
No,
board?
I mean, I can be sharing what you have to read. Okay, like PDF files, I can be sharing. You can go through before our session starts. Then we can discuss. See, the required thing is discussion. More and more discussion is required always.
Correct.
It's not
Correct,
only
correct.
suppose I share some code with you, then you execute. It is in that case it becomes just a demonstration. Presentation only
Correct,
becomes. Required
Correct.
thing is not presentation. You have to involve very much deep in this. And sometimes what happens. And one more thing actually. Whenever you code, you have to get many problems. There should be many errors when you get, then only you learn. So this is the secret of actually, successful programmers. They initially face so many problems, then only they can come to know. Whatever code I gave is working, you never think much about that code. So in that case, what it becomes a presentation. It should not be like a presentation. You have to involve in that code. You have to write more and more code. And suppose I show some example that you have to do in number of ways. So in that process, you may write much better code than me. This also happens actually. It is no one's monopoly. Logic or coding is no one's monopoly. I mean, always you can write better code. So that way what happens, that learning is very important, and learning curve should be very sharp in my opinion. And being engineers, you have that logic. Logic is not a great thing actually. Being engineers, definitely, your mind is logical minded. That's why you can see mostly programmers, they are from the engineering background. So others like doctors, you cannot see. Many commerce graduates also, they are not into this. Mostly engineers are actually chosen for software development because they can think logically. Very much logic thinking they have. Because of that only they are successfully developing all these applications. So definitely it is not a difficult thing for you. Coding is, but the intricacies you have to understand. That is very important. See, basically in engineering, the definition of engineering is approaching problem with proper set of tools. Whether you are giving solution or not properly, that is secondary thing. But you need to know first of all tools. What tools are available, how to use them.
Python certification training. Buy my extra classes.
We have online one-to-one sessions available for working professionals, as well as for freshers or students. Get trained with the industry experts having 25 plus years of programming and training experience. Our courses are designed in such a way that it will take you forward from beginner to expert level proficiency in very short span of time.
So what are you waiting for? Maximize your chances to land into your dream job by scheduling a free demo session by my extra classes. Contact us on our phone at 0124 406 1031 or directory mail us your requirement at myextraclasses@outlook.com.
That's very important in my opinion.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, you have to know what are the things available. Just very simple things I told actually. What a language is, what are the tokens, why you use it. Further, we are going to be reviving all these things in a systematic manner. Okay, just I gave an introduction of all these things actually. When we do with the Python, we'll discuss in detail everything of this. And sometimes we go beyond also if you have interest in that. So required thing is your interest always, your participation always is important.
Yeah. So going forward, please
Yes.
suggest like what frequency of classes will be, the timing and the thing.
Every day it is going to be 1 hour or 1 hour to 1.5 hours, depending on your interest, depending on your patience. Because you go for job. So once you come back from job, can you really focus on that?
Yeah, we can. But if it is every day, then we will not have time to practice this.
Yeah, but when you are learning something, you have to definitely practice every day. Otherwise, you forget. Chance is
No,
so
we will-
much actually.
We will surely practice every day, but if we have class every day, then
Sridhar, maybe you can tell from your side what is the best fit for the working professionals. Also, because we are slightly away in the time zone as well. So,
Yes.
I mean, we would be more interested to know from you that how you recommend, and basically what is a roadmap. Like, let's say this kind of training for these many months can develop this minimum level of skills in you, so that you can go for further stage or something like the way we said to go toward data science and more of that level. So can you just prescribe something for us that what should be the time frame and the number of hours per week, something like this we should be get up to that level?
See, for working professionals, I always recommend actually morning hours. Okay. Why morning hours is, morning hours, I mean, by the time you get up, actually, definitely don't feel tired very much. Okay. So morning hours, if you spare your time and you can grasp more also at the time. And in the evening, what happens, sometimes in your work area, it may be getting delayed. Sometimes what happens, you may not come by 6, you may come by 7, 7:30, 8, depending on your, depending on the pressure, you may come like that. In our case, what happens, they see actually at what time we go, but by what time we come back, they never see actually that. So it used to happen with us actually something like night 11, 11:30, 12, 1, 2 also it used to happen when I was, seriously coding some time back. Now I'm a senior person, I may not be coding like those people, but it happens. So in the same way, if you practice in the morning, that is going to be good. If you attend sessions in the morning, that will be good rather than in the evening. Because once you come from work, you may be having so many headaches, work-related headaches you may have, or you may get tired. Sometimes what happens, you may get headache also due to heavy work actually. So my recommendation is, if you attend in the morning session, that would be good. So this is one first thing actually. Then frequency, it can be thrice in a week, Sundays and Saturdays. If you can spare more time, that also would be good. 2 hours, something like that. So here main thing is discussion. Okay, how you are approaching problem, how you are solving, that is very important. Otherwise, this course content is available everywhere in the internet. Okay, so getting course content is not that difficult actually in my opinion. Frankly, all these things I am discussing with you. So how I am solving problems, how you are going to solve, how you are going to mimic, that is me, that's very, very important. So here required thing is mimicking me, how I am doing in the same way you may try to do. And once you get how I am doing it, you may be trying a different way also. So that is important. Otherwise, if you open any website and if you type there Python, some complete tutorial or Python guides, you may be getting so many PDF files. Okay, but going through them, understanding them may be a little time consuming. So when you attend certain sessions, what happens? Very fast you can understand. Your learning curve can be, it's going to be very steep. Unlike actually it's going to touch, I can say vertical line, it's not horizontal line. It's going to actually touch y-axis rather than x-axis. Suppose if you take the time is on the y-axis, time is on the y-axis and the topics actually on the x-axis. So in that way, in the y-axis you have topics and the time is going to be on the x-axis. So in such cases where it is touching actually y-axis, that means within very less time you are learning more. Okay, so that is possible when you attend practically some sessions like this. Going through that book and copying and pasting. So whatever they want to present to you, 4 things they may present. But here practically what we do, some practical problems also I gave you and we solve it in that way. How in the industry they are developing applications, that also you can understand in my opinion.
Yes. So Sridharji, our morning we are starting, our office here starts at 10 a.m. Indian time. Means we start here, our office here at 7:30 a.m. we start our office.
Okay, you have to start at 7:30.
Yeah.
But 7:30. Yeah. Please.
So we need 45 a.m. at least.
Yeah, that may be difficult then in that case.
Yes, sir.
Attending in the morning may be difficult. Then in that case, twice in a week we can have regular, and Saturdays, Sundays, if you can spare Saturdays, Sundays, you may be having your own work also, household related work, or you may have to spend your time with your family members. So if you can spare the time, then Saturdays, Sundays, we can discuss more, we can cover more and more. Because continuity is required here. If you delay, what happens? Yeah, Madhu, you're saying something?
No, I was just saying yes, continuity is important.
Yes, continuity is required. Otherwise, what happens? Things change very fast as far as software is concerned. It has to change. This is truly a dynamic engineering. Software engineering is truly dynamic engineering, and you take software and hardware. Hardware is actually very much advanced when compared to software. Hardware is 20 years ahead, and software is 20 years behind. We say hardware is very fast. You compare hardware and software, electronics particularly I am saying, hardware is actually 20 years ahead, software is 20 years behind. Okay, so things are like this. And in the software, what happens? Every day some new things come actually. So in different way they try. So here continuity is required within very short time. You need to actually exploit. You need to exploit actually the features available for us. Whatever you learned, you need to exploit very quickly. Otherwise, if you delay, there is a chance of forgetting and you may lose interest also in that. Very quickly, if you complete, that would be good in my opinion, Mahendra.
Okay, Sridharji, Friday and Saturday are holidays for us. So Friday morning class is ideal for us. No problem with Friday morning.
Yes,
If it's okay.
then yeah, we can Fridays. Friday only one day holiday or 2 days holidays you have.
So
2 days
Friday,
holiday.
Saturday. Yeah, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, Friday holiday you have. Then other time in Friday's holiday morning time we can have. Okay, then other time we can have in the evening.
Okay.
Okay, Sridhar sir, suppose, when you say morning with Indian time, what is that morning time actually? And when you say evening, what is that evening time in your mind? I mean, when you think of from India actually.
You see, evening time for me the work starts at 8:30 EST Eastern
Okay.
Standard Time. I work for a company called Aristotle. So my time starts
Okay.
at 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Sorry, for them 10 a.m. 7:30. At 7:30 my thing actually starts in the evening normally, but it can be delayed, no problem. So something like 8 at that time also. I can start 7 to 8 is comfortable for me actually every day. 7 to 8 evening. The time is comfortable. IST I'm saying 7 a.m. IST.
Yes.
8 a.m. like that. It's comfortable for me. And also mornings, something like 10 to 12 we can have your Saturday, and other thing is what your Friday and Saturday. We can have something like my time 10 is going to be 8 a.m. for you. 10 a.m. for me is going to be 8 a.m. for you. So 8 to 10 your time we can have, and 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. my time 12 noon we can have.
Okay.
So yes, it is now like, I mean, I'm getting some more feel. So since your availability in the morning, Sridhar, is also 7:30 Indian time. I guess you said 7 or 7:30. I guess you said in the morning time. I mean, yes, we can conclude, but the thing is that it is also looking little attractive. Madhu, what do you think? 4:30 in the morning, is it something which we can try? Because morning definitely, as Sridhar is saying, yeah.
And
4:30 my time.
Sridharji
No,
told
4:30 Qatar time.
4:30 Qatar time
Mahendra.
is going to be like 6:30. Yes, Nishant.
Mahendra.
Yes, Madhu.
Mahendra, Sridharji told that 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Indian time and 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Indian time.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
Sorry, I misunderstood. Yes, sir.
So Friday.
Earlier also it's fine for me. It need not be like that actually. Earlier also, because you may get up late, I'm thinking I get up by 4 a.m. in the morning. There is no problem for me actually. Normally I get up by 4 a.m. in the morning. So continuously I work 4 to something like 9, 10 in the night. I normally work actually, even holidays. Otherwise my time starts at 8:30 to something like 2:30 I work. At daytime I sleep 2 to 3 hours I sleep. Actually around 5 to 6 hours I sleep in a day.
So Sridhar, let's say, I mean, I'm just giving. I for sure we will. But let's say if I say 4:30 Qatar time,
Yes.
which will be 7 o'clock in India, 7 a.m. in India.
No, 4:30, 6:30 is for us. 6:30 a.m.
No, it's a 2.5 hours. We are 2.5 hours behind.
Okay, then 7 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether this kind of time frame suits you? I mean, for
Yes. 7 a.m. is good for me.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, hello. Mahendra.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
have one class Friday morning, like 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Friday Indian time, and
Yeah.
another will be 7 to 8 a.m. Indian time on any weekday is okay.
Yeah. So, how many hours you would recommend us in a week? Like something, it's like 2 classes in a day, week, or 3 classes, something. How you think?
3 classes in a week. We can have. Okay. And Saturday, Sunday, my time, something like Saturday, Sunday we have. Then in a week we have 4 classes. Okay. Saturday, Sunday, my time, and Saturday, Sunday, we have actually Sunday, we have my Sunday. Then similarly, my Saturday definitely we have, and Friday also we have actually. And apart from that, one more day, and Monday or something like that, or Tuesday we can have. So overall four sessions we have. So they have to be around 8 hours in a week, something like that.
8 hours. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now it is making more understanding. 8 hours and then we can split it somewhere. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And apart from that,
Yeah.
I give certain assignments. That assignments doing is important, very very important from your side. So if you don't do the assignments, I lose interest. So in order to keep my interest up, definitely whatever assignments I give you to do it. It should not become actually insipid. Text testing should not become our sessions. Should be live actually. There should be more and more discussion. Such kind of sessions I like basically.
Yes, clear.
Yeah.
You have to make some time and you need to do the assignment. Whatever assignment I give, somehow you need to finish it in the stipulated time.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So Sridhar sir, let's say if we think in this way, then like